You don't need, oh, or equal to, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, if you want less than or equal to.
Greater than.
Greater than or equal to. Yeah. Apparently I don't know the difference.
Then do the next row with plant.
So yeah, then we drop it down, and
Only referencing that account, right?
right. So are we going to do two different dimensions here, plant and something else? Okay. So we're going to insert a column between C and D.
Because you'll want your department in there as well, correct?
Okay. This is going to be a field cache key. You can call it whatever you want. But we are going to drop down one. First, let's unhide it just so we know we get stuff. Just want to make sure. Okay, so there, we're going to go to our NL function. And the only thing I'm going to want to do, so let's go to do another rows in our GL account table. And drop down to the filters. Drop that down and pick plant or whatever it is.
Is it code?
Plant code.
Okay. I just want to make sure that there's something populated in there. Okay, drop the filter values down. See if we have something in there. Because in my GL account, yeah, we got nothing there. So we will have to go to, let's go to a different table. How do I do this? This is where I have, let's go to our dimension table real quick. Just check that out. DIN. Okay, drop the field down. Let's see what we have there. Remember. Okay, so we've got our codes. Okay. So let's choose all of those. How am I going to get to that?
And see, the code there
Yeah.
is
Yeah, it's
the two
yeah.
dimensions. It's not
That's what I'm
the
trying
code
to
that,
figure out. So let's change the dimension to dimension set, the table.
So the balance sheet
Sorry.
is very.
I built this 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember exactly how I built it. So dimension set entry, I believe, or dimension entry. Dimension set entry. So let's look at our fields. That's still not going to give me what I want.
it's at a 7 or 10.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, I'm going to assume all the combinations are going to exist. They just may not exist in a certain time frame. Are we going to be limiting this based on a date, or is it this?
Yeah, there's 1 month. He's put 1 month.
Okay.
Or we can't.
Because yeah, the way I did is, you know, I had my. Let's try there. Let's go to our analysis view real quick. The table. I don't think it's going to be in there. Now let's start with our GL entry table as our table. Let's just start here. Kind of show you the concept, then we can figure out exactly where we need to pull it from. And our field, what we're going to do is drop that down, and we're going to do a field cache of those two codes. So you have to scroll down, hold down Control, grab those two codes, and hit Enter. So
Which one?
Plant code and department code, or whatever it was. So I'm going to hit Enter. Okay. So what that's going to do is it's going to go through the GL entry table and find every combination of those two values that it finds. Now, we could just leave it at that, or if you want to assign it to this specific account, we could reference back to that account.
But
too.
then why didn't we put the plant code in earlier when as a filter and it was blank? In the GL
Right,
entry?
but that was the GL account. So if
Oh,
you
it's
drop,
the GL
yeah, if you drop down the filters here and looked in your plant code, I bet you there'd be something there. Because I had that same issue. You should be able to resize it from the top and then drag it up.
Corner.
And then drag it all the way up.
There we go.
So it looks good, okay. Yep, we're getting something there. And so now that we've got our key, what we would do is with our NF statement, pull the plant code, and then create another NF statement to get the department code. So under plant right next to that, we'll do an NF statement. Tell it to look at that key. drop it down, and it looks like it's a full dimension one. Let's go ahead and hit that.
So I do it.
Well, yeah, it does change because the caption's different than what the actual title of the filter is. So you got the correct one, so go ahead and hit OK. All right, and then we would create another in column G for our department.
But can we still go back and try and find the plant name, because I couldn't find that either.
Yeah, we'd have to, it's probably in some kind of master table. But yeah, we'd have to explore the data. So if you were, so if we were to run this right now, go ahead and run it. You can see how it's populating now 600 and something odd rows of data because it's finding for each account and give me every combination of these two dimensions. It's okay. Not the
Well,
problem.
and that's also gonna pull in your tolling accounts again.
Well, we did.
But the total in the tolling accounts before wasn't a problem.
Oh, it gave you the same value.
But on trial balances, if you're gonna ever use those for another, you're gonna take this and then paste it into another Excel version that you're gonna use, you gotta remove all of the total accounts. Yeah.
So there's where you're getting. So for account 50,000, I've got, you know, no plants and no department is one combination. So that's all the plants and all departments. That's what line 7 is. You still see the full key. And then you've got one that's line 8, plant 02 with nothing as the department, and then plant 02 with line 30. So it's finding every combination of those values for every single account. Now, some of those might not exist for certain accounts. And so that's why if you were to take your key and filter on the account in the preview, in the primary list, that primary replicator, it might return a smaller subset of those. Okay.
No,
Because
if you want the account to show on every line,
So-
you just wouldn't need to stagger it.
well, what you would do is you go back into design. Here's how I get around that. So let's go ahead and go into design real quick. On our account in that function, let's go ahead and limit that to like 10 accounts or something like that. Just a small, real subset of them. You can even add a limit equals. If you just want to do one account.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. Well, I like that idea. That is
Limit equals.
Equals.
Comma.
Comma. Good.
Okay. Works for me. Okay. So if we go into our, what were we just discussing? Oh, so if you want to have that account number drop down each time, you just hit equals up. Bring that account down, that account number down. And now when you run it, it's just going to show those. So if we hide our key real quick and rerun this report, it will go much faster. But you can see now it's 50,000. The only thing I had to do, and you'll see, is if we scroll up all the way to the top, see how you've got account 50,000 with 000 and 50,000 000. We would probably just hide that master, that initial row replicator. And so it hides the one where we have nothing going on with those plants, departments, whatever. And then because we've got that right underneath it. So you don't have duplicate. So now you run it again and you'll get basically every combination of those values that exist. It just looks like one big list.
So, but when you're creating your reports, Paul, are you gonna actually do like a trial balance similar to what we're doing, or are you just gonna filter on the report for what you need?
I haven't decided yet, honestly. You know, if we're looking for quick, from a just
For
from a
converting
timing
them.
perspective, I'll probably use the trial balance and build it to where it's gonna be able to feed it back into what we have. Long term, this is it. Long term, we take the time, do it right, build it in here, and it becomes much more streamlined and simple.
Well, and it'd be a good check if we had it both ways. Like if you had the trial balance version, we could check it, and then when you're rebuilding a report, use it as like an actual check to verify that everything works.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, what we use, what I like about running the trial balance is that I look at my total trial balance and be like, yeah, all right, what's the total of all plans and everything I just ran? Hey, is it what it comes out to be? So that's not having that safeguard. Yeah, a little bit, but how easy is it to run a trial balance real quick?
And I think too, that's where, we have to decide if you guys just want me to write a bunch of these reports between now and August, or if you guys want to do it your way and build them on your own later. That's what we have to decide what my role is.
You don't have to decide that today.
Right. I was no.
Yeah, but I agree, we probably need to sit down earlier so then we could map out, all of our roles in this. Like Shelley approved.
And I think, Ryan needs to be involved in that for sure.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if he wants to bring Mike in, but it might be something that Mike wants to get. It's good.
Really.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know him better than I do.
So at this point now, you just want to go expand up to months, right?
Right.
Get the actual, the credits, debits, or are you doing budgets and want to?
Right, so, and I was kind of trying to think about how to do this easily, although, so we only have 1 month of data in here.
No, there's
Okay.
5 months.
There's 5 months. Is it all
April
start?
through August.
April through August, great. All right, so I want April here, and maybe you can.
So is there going to be times where you're going to run it for just 1 month or multiple months, or, is it always going to be, I'm always going to run this, it's just going to be 1 month?
Well, in this scenario,
Huh?
I run it for all months,
Okay.
always. That's me personally. And,
You have an end date.
What's that?
You have an end date.
I have an end. And
Well, the way I would build this then is, people are going to use it differently, or you might use it one way, and you might use it another way, and he uses it another way. Is build that dynamic in there, and you make that an option, right? Give me my start date, give me my end date. Run it for these time frames, or all time. I wouldn't recommend that, because then when you go to the date table in nav, it literally pulls every day from like 1900 until I think it's 2037 or something like that, some ridiculous amount of time. You're going to be running forever. So you'd want to have some sort of range in there. Now, I see people do it two ways. One, they hard code it in. That will make your report run slower.
If you hard code it,
If you hard code the months in. The reason for that is because of when you open up JET, or if you go into report mode or redo it, right? If I build this static, right? Here are my accounts. They're listed down this way. And then I build in 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, oops, 1, okay? Then I have to create a function here, a function here, a function here. And luckily this is dynamic, but I see people list out the accounts too, and some of those things you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to list these out manually. That means I've got another JET function here, a JET function here, and I have to maintain all of those functions. The other problem is when I open up JET, JET's gonna try and refresh all of those functions. If I go back into report mode to make a change, it has to unrefresh all of those functions.
isn't that what you were doing with the income statement that you had designed?
Right, that was really just like 1 month.
Okay.
Sometimes there's no way around it, right? It is what it is. But if I can make dynamic columns to say, okay, well, even if I have to manually put these in, copy them down, if I can make this dynamic, instead of having 12 columns, I've got one column of data it has to refresh, and then it builds it out from there.
So then how would you do that so that it does it based on like this month minus one, or you had a file that did that?
Yeah, so I would just basically, I'd create a jet function that creates my dates for me.
Okay.
Um,
And then that would auto feed and then you do your filter based upon whatever the return function is.
Yeah, so I would have an option, right? Basically what I end up having to do is this. It's kind of a weird thing. I have an option for a start date and an end date. Okay. And then I have to create a range. And this is one of our jet functions where I'll take this start date, dot, end date. It'll create that date that we need. Then up here, I'm going to create a jet function that's going to say, okay, give me every first day of each of these months. And it will dynamically build that out. Then I create another jet function to say, give me the last day of this period. Right?